I'm a 29-year-old woman working as a software engineer, and this story begins with the quiet unraveling of what I thought was a normal, if slightly dysfunctional, family dynamic. I grew up in a middle-class suburb just outside of a small city. My parents worked hard to keep things stable. Dad worked maintenance at a school, Mom worked retail. They owned a modest single-story house with a tiny front lawn they always kept trimmed. Nothing flashy, but they cared about appearances, neat clothes, polite smiles, no drama outside the front door. Inside was a different story. My older sister, Natalie, is 31 now. We were never particularly close, even as kids. Natalie had the kind of personality that made her hard to ignore, loud, persuasive, always ready with a cutting remark. She didn't go to college. She stayed home, picked up random part-time jobs, but nothing ever stuck. She lived with our parents until recently, well into her late 20s, drifting from job to job and acting like she was the anchor of the household. I moved out at 18 for college in another state. I covered my tuition with scholarships, worked part-time gigs in bookstores and coffee shops, and never asked my parents for money. I rented small places, used secondhand furniture, and learned to make every dollar count. Even then, when I visited home, Natalie would smirk when I grabbed a plate of food or stayed the night. "Nice to see our little Mooch still knows where the fridge is," she'd say in front of everyone. If I brought groceries, she'd complain they weren't the right brand. If I gave our parents gifts, she'd roll her eyes and say I was showing off. At dinners, she'd make jabs like, "Must be nice to have no bills and a degree to wave around," or, "Oh, look who decided to grace us with her presence." Every single time. My parents would smile awkwardly and say, "She's just joking. Don't make it a big deal." They never corrected her, never told her to stop. It wasn't encouragement, but it definitely wasn't protection either. Still, I tried to be present in my own way. I sent money when my dad needed dental work. When my mom had her hours cut, I quietly paid a few bills. I never expected thanks, and usually didn't get any, but I knew they noticed. I also noticed Natalie never chipped in, not even once. She still lived there rent-free, never helped with maintenance, and barely cleaned up after herself. I only visited a few times a year, and every time felt like walking into a minefield. I'd stay for a few days, help fix whatever I could, leaking faucets, broken cabinet doors, and head home with a migraine from all the passive digs. Last year, things started changing fast. My mom's knee pain got worse. She needed a full replacement. Then came my dad's diagnosis, early-stage dementia. It shook me. I started flying in more often, using up unpaid leave, juggling work calls between their doctor appointments. My dad was forgetting names. My mom couldn't get up the stairs some days. Their house, the same one they'd clung to for decades, wasn't safe for them anymore. Narrow hallways, slippery tile, no railings. It wasn't built for aging. I brought it up gently. We were sitting in the living room, just the three of us. I said I'd been thinking, maybe it was time to look into something more manageable. A single-story place closer to me, near better hospitals, where I could help more directly. I'd take care of everything. I had the savings. They wouldn't need to lift a finger. My mom looked tired. She didn't say no. She asked questions, what it would look like, where, how far from her favorite grocery store. My dad didn't say much, but he nodded. That was enough for me. Natalie, however, exploded when she found out. She barged into the kitchen while I was making tea, slammed a mug down, and shouted that I was trying to steal the house out from under them. She accused me of forcing them to leave everything behind just because I had more money now. She claimed I was jealous that she had been the one to stay and help all these years. I asked what she meant by help. She hadn't taken Dad to a single doctor's appointment. She didn't cook, clean, or contribute. She stayed in that